my name is Jasmine. The state for Alabama, the territory now occupied by the state for Alabama, was inhabited by American Indian tribes of Cherokee. After the discovery of Juan Ponce de Leon and Alvar Núñez de Cabeza de Vaca, all current southern United States were called La Florida. The present from Florida, Georgia, South California, North California, Mississippi, and Alabama. The first expedition that entered Alabama was the Spanish Hernando de Soto, and fighting 14 key faced the natives led by Trabajo. Over the century later, in 7-1, was the first who entered the territory to vote for Luis de la Mobile. The territory in 1563, the first managed to get by the Treaty of Paris, and Alabama as part for West Florida, and the two provinces was divided in the former Spanish colony Florida.
Hello, my name is Axel. Delaware. The region is known the U.S. state of Delaware was inhabited before the arrival of the first European explorer to the region for two Native American tribes belonging to the family of the Algonquin Native Americans. The Delaware along the Valley Delaware River and the Natinook along the rivers that flow in the Chesapeake Bay. The Delaware were a sedentary tribe who lived by hunting and farming.
Alaska. The first inhabitants of Alaska were groups who came from Asia, who crossed the Bering Land Bridge and reached what is now Western Alaska Peninsula. Most is a node of people, Native Americans, come from people who crossed the Bering Strait before migrating to the south of the continent. Most of the documented history of Alaska comes from European settlement, begin with the Dutch navigation in the rest of the Russia Navy Vitus Bering, who reached Alaska on board the San Pedro during the second expedition to Kashmatawa. The first permanent settlement by this effort of the native population. The first permanent settlement by Russia was established in 784 when Gregory and Itoboy Chekhov founded a colony of Russia was established in 784. In 790, Cherokee listened holding Greeks to the Alexander Baranov, who moves the colony to the present city of Carrick.
Florida. Discovered joined by Juan Ponce de Leon, brothers Pinzón, Juan Díaz de Solís, and Amerigo Vespucci, as they sailed around the Gulf of Mexico, while the east was recognized in the 1498 by John Cabot. In the early 16th century, several provisions authorizing carrying in dangerous places where there was no gold, suggest that reached Florida.
Arizona. In Arizona, there are human remains in Acharuet, sitting dark back 22 years. 12 years, a million ago, the main groups that habited this territory were the Anasazi Indians, the Hocoman of the Tono of Adam, and Clima Indians, the Molo and Patawa. The Apaches, the Navajos, with those who fought the Spanish cities the 16th century, come to this country something before the arrival Europeans to Arizona.
Georgia. Native Americans lived in the region where it currently stands on the state of Georgia. Thousands of years before the arrival of the first European explorers. The first Native Americans to settle in the region where a prehistoric tribe called Mount Boulders. Some centuries before the arrival of the first European explorer, the Creek and Cherokee settled in the region in the north and south respectively in the current state of Georgia, gradually occupying the place of the Mount Boulders.
Arkansas. The first spear of mining in Arkansas dating back 10 years BC with remains found in the Ozark Plateau and house back of Wheat River. Also have been from trades of created with Tulsa's city of Little Rock. The Spanish were the first Europeans to explore the lands in Arkansas when Fernando de Soto arrived in 1541. Already the 17th century first began the exploration in the region of Mississippi and Arkansas rivers introduced missionary Jacques Mathieu and the first Louis Joliet contributed in 1673, to which Europeans keep voting the geography of the states of Hospital Indian in 1680.
Iowa. When the first Native Americans arrived in what is now called Iowa, for over 30 years were hunter-gatherers living in a glacial landscape of the Freestone epoch. When Europeans explored the region, Native Americans had become farmers with an economic infrastructure, social and political. Their transformation is carried out gradually during the Archaic period. Native Americans adapted to the environment and ecosystems, becoming more sedentary as they increased their population.
California. The story begins in California with the Native Americans who first came to California about the 30 by 50 years ago. The exploration and cemetery of Europeans along the coast and inland bayous began in the 16th century. California was architected by the United States under the Upper Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848. After the defeat of Mexico and Mexican-American War caused the American Western expansion in Mexico with the intensification of California Gold Rush in the 1860s. California joined the Union as a state in 1850. In the late 19th century, California was a later rural and agricultural, but I had a population in about 1.4 million Europeans.
Kansas. The region that now constitutes the state of Kansas was inhabited by 4 Native American tribes. Prior the arrival of the first European explorer in the region, the Kansas, the region of the name of state, the Osage, Penguin, and Witcher, who lived in the hunting the buffalo and the cultivation of corn and soybeans. The first Europeans to explore the current Kansas were members of a Spanish expedition led by Francisco Vázquez de Coronado in 1541. The expedition was located at a region called Curia, where, according to native guide of the expedition, had large gold mines.
California del Norte.